One on this night out time. 11:59 p.m. Just making it in here on Tuesday. Happy One Wellness Nerd Out time. Happy today. I hope you guys had a great day. So what I want to talk about is a study I was reading before. This light's really weird. We're in a parking lot. We just hit the gym late night. So whatever. What's important is I was reading a study regarding the effect of creatine intake on cognitive function in the elderly. So, creatine is commonly known for being involved in the creatine phosphate pathway, where it donates a phosphate to ADP, adenosine diphosphate, to convert it into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which can be used for energy in anaerobic exercise in the absence of oxygen, that means, right? So it's another energy source. It gives you, a better endurance, working out, better performance in high intensity 30-second tasks and things like that. And this is well known about creatine. But what isn't is its effect on the brain. It is an amino acid that does cross the blood-brain barrier, so it can have cognitive effects. And this cross-sectional study had 42 participants. They were all above age 60. I believe 30 were men and 12 were women. And what they did was they followed their dietary creatine intake for 5 days, and they saw they separated the groups based on who was above or below the median daily intake for creatine, 0.382 grams in a day, 0.382 if you were curious, but that's what it is. And it doesn't sound like a lot, because when we take creatine, typically we'll take 5 grams in a day, or anywhere from 3 to 5 typically. Generally recommended 5 after a loading phase of whether a week to 10 days. Some things say even up to where you could take up to 25 grams in a day, whatever. The point is, it's not close to that, right? And it was only 5 days. So, take it with a grain of salt, I guess, if you will. What they did was they had them do a mini mental state examination, and they had them perform a Corsi block task, also known as Corsi block tapping test. And what that is when one person, what they do is they touch they had 9 different blocks in this test, and that assesses visual, spatial, short-term working memory. We'll talk about what that means there. But they had 9 blocks, and so they would touch them in a certain sequence. They would touch 1 and then 2 in a row, and then 3, and they had to remember it, and they had to repeat it and say what it was. So they based their scores on how far they got, right? And remember, these people are over 60, so a lot of them have relatively reduced cognitive functioning compared to, say, young healthy adults, right? So keep that in mind right away. It's not, if you think, oh, maybe 9 blocks wouldn't be that hard, I could, They also did this Corsi block test in reverse. So you would have to remember it and then tell them in reverse what everything was. Okay. Now the mini mental state examination, that's more of a test of overall cognitive functioning. That's what they use to assess overall cognitive functioning. Okay. And so visuospatial, short-term working memory. Well, visual, you're seeing it. Spatial awareness, right? Short-term working memory is what you can keep on the forefront of your mind and then react quickly using the information you've taken in to make some educated response, relatively subconsciously, right? So that's what the working memory really is in simple, right? All of them improved. Actually, some more so than others did the reverse block, Corsi block, the standard Corsi block, the mini mental state examination in the people that had higher creatine intake on average above that median 0.382 grams per day, and especially in the Corsi block tapping test. So they had higher scores. There was a moderate association with the creatine intake, moderate increase in the scores in mini mental state examination, but very significant association in that visuospatial short-term working memory with the Corsi block tapping test. So why do we think maybe that is? What does creatine do that it's known for. We said before, it's an energy thing, right? It's an energy thing. It's donating phosphate to ADP. We're getting more ATP, the major storage form of energy in the body, adenosine triphosphate. And so it's no surprise that if you had some more energy to think, maybe you'd be a little quicker, maybe you'd be a little sharper, right? So, it just makes sense. I'm sure we would see relatively similar results with caffeine and things like that. So that's what we got for you guys today. I thought it was pretty cool. We know of creatine for physical performance, but what about mental performance? Food for thought. Have a great night. Thanks a lot. Happy When Wellness. See you tomorrow.